Welcome to the chapter Measure. Calculate your KPIs. This chapter dives into the fundamentals of calculating your OIN KPIs. The goal is to understand how impact measurement typically relies on calculation rather than direct measurement, and how to apply formulas, baselines, and realistic measurement frequencies to ensure results are consistent over time. Impact measurement is about building a clear calculation logic that links your activities to quantified impact through an impact model. It is important to remember that KPI calculation is not the starting point of impact work. It only comes after your organization has clarified its problem, defined its solution, developed its theory of change, selected its impact areas, and identified relevant KPIs within the Ocean Impact Navigator framework. So, how do we calculate OIN KPIs consistently? The first step in calculating impact is defining a reference scenario. We need to ask, what would have happened without the solution? This reference scenario is called the baseline. As discussed in previous modules, the baseline represents the business-as-usual situation. In this chapter, we will explicitly link that baseline to quantified impact calculations. Impact is always calculated as the difference between two situations. Impact equals situation with solution minus baseline. To structure this calculation, we rely on the impact model, introduced in previous modules, translating activities into outputs, outputs into outcomes, and outcomes into quantified impact. Unlike the theory of change, the impact model explains how impact is calculated. Within this model, some variables can be directly measured. Others cannot be directly observed and must be estimated using formulas, assumptions, or reference factors. When we refer to formulas, we do not mean that they are always universal or predefined. In some cases, widely accepted scientific formulas or emission factors exist. In other cases, organizations must develop their own calculation logic, grounded in transparent assumptions and documented methodology. Over time, as data quality improves, these formulas can be refined using empirical measurements, academic research, and collaboration with operators or customers. A key principle is consistency, which entails applying a clearly defined and stable methodology over time, so results remain comparable within a project or portfolio. Let's return to our ocean technology company from a few modules back operating in the maritime sector. The startup aims at reducing biofouling by constantly cleaning ship hulls. Its solution reduces operational inefficiencies on ships and addresses multiple ocean pressures. Within the Ocean Impact Navigator framework, this company has identified GHG emissions, reduced or avoided as its core KPI. This KPI belongs towards a 1.5-degree world impact area. To calculate this KPI, we must first define the baseline. The baseline represents a conventional vessel operating under standard hull maintenance practices, with typical fuel consumption and associated emissions. These are the GHG emissions without the solution. Next, we define the situation with the solution. This represents the vessel operating with continuous hull cleaning, leading to lower drag and reduced fuel consumption. Now we build the impact model. At the activity level, the company performs hull cleaning operations. At the output level, measurable variables might include surface area cleaned, frequency of cleaning cycles, and amount of biofouling removed. These are directly measurable intermediate KPIs. At the outcome level, we estimate fuel efficiency improvements resulting from reduced drag. Fuel saved is typically not directly measured in isolation from other factors, so it must be calculated using engineering assumptions, performance data, and reference coefficients. Finally, at the impact level, we translate fuel savings into greenhouse gas emissions avoided using appropriate emission factors. The same impact model is applied to both scenarios. We calculate GHG emissions under the baseline scenario and the situation with the solution. Then we apply the formula. To find the impact, we need to calculate GHG emissions with the situation minus GHG emissions in the baseline. The impact would represent emissions reduced or avoided. By explicitly linking measurable intermediate KPIs, such as cleaning frequency and drag reduction, to fuel savings and then to GHG emissions, the impact model makes the calculation transparent and defensible. A key principle in KPI calculation is methodological consistency over time. Measurement frequency should be realistic and proportionate to operational capacity. Early-stage organizations may rely on periodic data collection and modeled estimates. As systems mature, reporting can become more granular and increasingly supported by empirical measurements. The objective is progressive improvement toward greater data reliability and traceability, while maintaining internal consistency in assumptions and calculation methods. This voyage takes us from promising ideas to proof of real ocean impact.